And hello, everyone, and welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, with me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen Frederick is here.
Stephen Frederick. Stephen Frederick, who happens to be an attorney and a medium, and also my husband. How about that, Stephen?
Check, check, check.
Check. Today we have an amazing show, Mission Empowerment, how to re-examine, refocus, and rebuild your life. And I have an amazing guest. I have not had the opportunity to meet Sheila James, but she is somebody who came to us through our friend Kathy Clabby. So if Kathy Clabby knows Sheila and thinks that Sheila is an awesome guest for this show, then check that. So we're gonna have an amazing show. And I tell you, Stephen, anytime I hear empowerment, I am in. So
I love that. I love
stay tuned. So let's talk about what's going on, Stephen. What is going on? And I know plenty has been going on. So why don't you tell people what you've been up to?
Well, they had another showing of Lady of the Dunes in P-Town at Water's Edge Cinema on Tuesday night, the documentary that I have my premiere in, which is really exciting. And we're getting ever so closely to distribution, crossing my fingers to be able to answer people how can they see this documentary, people that are not local and haven't been able to see it in the theaters, because it's been in 3 different theaters, but a short period of time. So hopefully I will have some news on that. And of course, just a couple of days ago, we were in the studio celebrating my 4th year anniversary of Through the Static, which I can't believe I've been doing that radio show for 4 years.
I cannot believe that either. That's unbelievable. But let's go back to Lady of the Dunes for a moment. I want to go back to your anniversary, but Lady of the Dunes, tell people about that story, people who are tuning in for the first time.
So the documentary is about a woman in 1974, July 26th. It was just the 48th anniversary, which was really cool because that's when the documentary was aired at Water's Edge, and I was able to do an introduction to the audience and a Q&A afterwards. So it was really, really cool. But this woman in 1974 was found, this body was found in Race Point Dunes, a little girl walking her dog, and this is one of the oldest, if not oldest, unsolved crime. We don't know her name. We don't know who killed her. And it's the story, not just about that, but how in 48 years this has not been solved. So Frank Durant, who is the producer and director, who is amazing, just uncovered a lot of different stones to get information, and pretty much more so what his objective always was just to bring this back into the light so that this case could get closer to being solved and then be solved. So, and I was one of the 4 mediums that was fortunate enough to be selected to be in the documentary. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And there was something really awesome about being in Provincetown where the murder took place, and having that showing at that Provincetown Water's Edge, right, theater in Provincetown, right. And the theater was sold out, and I can really see how people are fascinated by the documentary, and people want they want this documentary to go public so that many other people from around the world get access to see, what really has happened, and how we can get these crime resolved.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is, I think for Frank, all his eggs are in one basket in this documentary, because like what you said, Elix, the quicker this gets out and gets exposure and people get to see it, it just gives or brings us closer to getting this case solved, which is really what I think everybody wants, even in the audience. Everybody, just sort of for her sake, as I mentioned in the Q&A, humans want justice, right? They want justice, and if anything, if they can't figure out first who killed her, at least recognize her with a name. So
exactly, and I don't think you've told people your role in the documentary. I mean, you play not for nothing, but you're like one of the highlights of that documentary.
One of?
Okay, I mean, Stephen, you really want me? You are the highlight. You know, there are
Thank
certain
you.
questions that after 30 years, I know better how to answer. So Stephen is the highlight of the documentary.
No, Frank did such a great job.
Forget Lady of the Dunes, by the way. She's not even the highlight. You are the highlight. Just saying.
Thank you. Now, see, was that difficult? Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But it you know, Frank did such a remarkable job of the people that he got to be part of the documentary, to be interviewed and to speak, and yes, I mean, I definitely think I have a really amazing role in the documentary, especially because it's the biggest part for me comes at the end, and it's very climactic, and the music, and I just cannot wait for, above and beyond the people that have already seen it, that love it, for the general public, people that are not local, that just, or are local and just haven't seen it in the cinema, get to see it. So
I cannot wait myself. So now we can go back to your 4-year anniversary as a radio host. How's that? That's quite the accomplishment, Stephen.
yeah, you know, if you back me up even, I don't know, 5-6 years, and told me I would have my own radio show and I would be hitting the 4th-year anniversary, I would say you're crazy, because I never had any kind of media experience, never like the radio piece either, and the fact that this all unraveled and I started this July 25th, 2018 is pretty crazy. And you know, I was just thinking, in 4 years, I wonder how many people I have read, because you know, as you know, Elix, as the co-host, that phone starts ringing at what, 4:30, and the show doesn't start till 5. So and it's just, it's constant people on the phone waiting to be read, which of course I love, why I do the show. I just wonder how many people. There's a lot of people.
Thousands and thousands of people. So, and if not for you, many of you know this, but if not for Stephen, I wouldn't had my own opportunity to be hosting this radio show, because he's the one that encouraged me to speak to the general manager and to submit my application and really start my own journey as a radio host. So I'm very grateful for you, and I'll be celebrating my 2 years soon, I guess.
Yeah,
so
I love that, and I knew the station would be crazy now to approve this show that you've been doing for almost 2 years, because I knew people would love it. People need to hear it, and I'm so happy I'm part of it too.
Yes, and so the last thing that, at least for me, that I want to make sure we highlight is Steel X the series. I know we've. What is that? I don't know. Mark, can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear the dial tone.
So Mark, whatever that is,
Clock.
we are hearing a dial tone. So
And a busy signal.
So if you can please stop it, because I can't. Okay, so part of having a radio show, live radio show, is that you got many bloopers. And sometimes,
maybe take an early break.
Unlike podcasts, bloopers cannot be edited in real time. So I guess we are having a live blooper on time, and hopefully the producer heard what we're saying, and he'll be able to make that phone call without having it go live. But I was talking about Steel X the series. Those of you who have watched our series on YouTube, Stephen the Medium's channel. Many people, we've received very, very positive feedback. People love it and they want more, and we are working currently on our 4th episode, and
Yes.
I'm hoping that 4th episode, it's going to be out within the next couple of weeks. So if you haven't seen our show, Steel X the series, you have to go to Stephen the Medium's YouTube page, subscribe, and just go look at Steel X the series, and enjoy all
And
3
you'll love
episodes.
it. You'll fall in love with it, right?
Well, you're gonna fall in love with us. I mean, not at us. we are it, Stephen. So
That is true.
and people love hanging out with us, and it's honestly, it's all it is just a behind the scenes look at what this looks like. Our relationship. We've been together 30 years. You speak to dead people. I'm a life coach from Puerto Rico, so there's a whole lot of Latin dynamics going on. And you are as smart as it gets, but common sense sort of left home, and and you miss the boat when it comes to common sense. So,
I may have
and
missed the
that
boat,
makes
but
it funny, very funny.
well, I
Well, you
must
sort of
have.
missed the
I
boat,
may,
Stephen. Stephen, at the. By the way, I think I shared these with in your show at the last premiere of Lady of the Dunes. He says, "Oh, I should ask for a microphone because they have a microphone, like a speaker here." And I'm looking. I'm like, "Where?" It's like right there. I'm like, "That's not a speaker. That's not the humidifier, Stephen." And he's like, "Oh, oh, oh, it looked like a speaker." So that gives you a sense of, my life with Stephen the Medium. Pretty funny, though, at many times.
you can hear me, right?
I
Can
can
you
just,
hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounded like you couldn't hear me. I kept trying to say something, and I
No,
was
I,
getting
I
no
actually,
response.
I couldn't hear when you were trying to say something. So what were you trying to say?
I don't remember now. I think when you said I missed the boat, I was about to say I may have missed the boat, but I didn't miss the bar the first time as an attorney. So there's
That
no
is true.
yeah,
That is
it's
true.
just smartness here. That's it.
I did say you are very smart. There's no
Yes.
question about it, and very good looking. So you
And
got
and I
check,
and I
check.
and I thought that I still say that was a speaker, and the brand of it was a day humidifier. So that's what I think.
But you know what we got to do? We got to take a break because when we come back, we are going to have an awesome guest. She is the CEO and founder of St. James Media. And she's going to be talking to us about mission empowerment, how to re examine, refocus, and rebuild your life. And honestly, who wouldn't benefit from that conversation? So you better stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Sheila James. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex. With me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen, he's here.
Stephen the Medium. And Stephen the Medium is an attorney and a medium, and he happens to be my wonderful husband. So, Stephen, today's show is all about mission empowerment, and we are going to talk about how to re-examine, refocus, and rebuild your life so that you can live an empowered and inspired life starting right now. And to do that, to have this conversation, I am very happy to have a guest, a new guest. Her name is Sheila James. She's an empowerment coach. She's known for impacting and empowering individuals, organizations, and young people in being effective, becoming result producers, bringing out the best, and being extraordinary human beings. She spent the first part of her career in the insurance industry, working as a property casualty underwriter, life insurance agent, securities license, and health. It was here where she became conscientious to the needs and being of service to others in educating and providing information that would impact and support their lives. She's currently the founder and CEO of St. James Media, a company created to empower people, society, and humanity through empowerment coaching, consulting, and media. Her listening is so keen that she is known as the Coach Listener. She's the author and facilitator of 2022, The Next 5 Years, an empowerment coaching series designed for you to create a blueprint and leave an imprint in your life by fulfilling your purpose and realizing your goals. She's also the creator and host of Sheila Speaks, a podcast designed to empower, educate, inform, inspire, and impact you, your community, and your life. I cannot be happier to have somebody like that because, like I said to you, Stephen, when we talk empowerment, I am in, and this is a wonderful conversation for all of us. So, Sheila, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored and excited to be here today.
And I am just as excited. Sheila, we've never met. However, you come recommended by our mutual friend, Kathy Clabby. And all I can tell you is if Kathy Clabby approves, it's immediately an approval on my end. So I could not be happier to have you be with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So first and foremost, let's just start from the ground up. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, and how did you go from selling insurance to building a business that changes people's lives?
Well, a little bit about myself. I am a girl from Gary, Indiana, which is most popularly known as the home of Michael Jackson, one of my favorite artists. I'm the middle child of 7 children. My father was a Baptist minister who went to Morehouse College right here in Atlanta, Georgia. He was a classmate and mentor and worked with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., so I got to meet him and several other prolific leaders like Dr. Benjamin Mays, Mrs. King, just a wealth of leaders and leadership in my life throughout my life. Went to Spelman College, also right here in Atlanta, an all-women's institution that, you go in. I say when you go to Spelman College, you go in as a girl and you definitely come out as a woman. And, yes. And so I can go on and on about me, but when I was in the insurance industry, and it was more an education for me and an eye-opening thing, working in the insurance industry and what people deal with and I'll say it another way, what people aren't dealing with. And it's a lot of things that are missing for us, particularly in the domain of educating ourselves about what we need and why insurance. And then there's the flip side of, insurance is one of the most, if not the most richest industry in our country. And they could use some seriously transformation and more connectedness to having it more workable for people, no matter what kind of insurance it is, health, life, home, whatever it is, uh, commercial, to uh, to work for us to be able to have it be affordable, and at the same time, have their companies work. So in doing that work, you asked me also, I found myself taking on, impacting and empowering myself after that career kind of was coming to an end. And I
Yes.
took on some transformational programs and developed myself. I even worked for them for 15 years, this particular company,
Yep.
uh, Landmark Worldwide, which really changed my life and made a big difference for me and hundreds and thousands of other people. And I became quite a leader there. And when I uh, when I turned 60, I began to really look at my life newly and say, now, Sheila, what is the legacy you want to leave behind? How is it that you want to be known in the world?
I love that, Sheila.
Yeah, so you start to kind of, thank God I've made it to a little over 60. Like I tell people, I don't look a day over 40, but
You must be our relative because Stephen and I, are not a day over 30. Just saying.
that's right. Maybe we could be. So, I had written this book and I had written another book before I went to work for this company, actually 20 years ago. And when I stopped working and started my company, I just revamped them to current day. And the one that you chose, the Mission Empowerment, a goal setting workshop for the next 90 days, you know, sometimes, most times we kind of let life come at us versus you're coming towards your life. So if you put your life out in front of you, then work your way back, you can at least begin to create what you're doing, what you're not doing, what you're creating for yourself, what's important. When I turn, when you're in your 30s and 40s, there's something that's important. But when you start to get into your 60s, I think, maybe even late 50s, one thing you really begin to realize is there's more life behind you than what's in front of you. So it's kind of like, well, now what? And so that's what had me start my business. And there were also, let me just say this, there were also some legacies and stories, documentaries, or other things I wanted to do. So while I'm an empowerment coach, I also wanted to consult and give voice to some of the narratives of my life and some of the experiences of my life.
Sheila, just because there's so much richness in what you said, but I am actually curious. When you talked about discovering or asking yourself, what's the legacy that you want to leave behind? What did you come up with? What is that legacy that you want to leave behind?
Well, it's really great because one of the things we talk about in the mission empowerment, you actually create a statement about what you want your life to be for, what you
Mm.
want your life to be about. And it's interesting, I wrote this 20, maybe 30 years ago now. I said that I wanted to empower and inspire multitudes of men and women and children, rich or poor, to create and live an extraordinary world. That I was
That's
the
so
most valuable
fabulous.
person, yeah, and the most valuable person in the transformation of mankind, and that my son is as great as myself, and he too makes a difference. That my life is a gift to humanity.
Fabulous, fabulous. And what I'm most left with is in order for you to step into that legacy, you got to be that for you first and foremost, right? Because you can't be that for others if you're not that for you first and foremost.
That's right. That's right. And it's always because we're human beings, and you know we make mistakes. But you got to. The good news about making mistakes, at least you're playing the game. You know, at least you're in the game. You know, you're not making mistakes and screwing it up and slopping it up a little bit. Well, your game may not be big enough. So,
Yes.
yeah. So it's like that. Like
You know, and
making.
uh, go ahead, Sheila. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
No, no. When you talk about it's just that I'm relating to so much because I often say the same. Like, look, in baseball, there's strikes, and they're part of the game. If you're playing baseball, there are gonna be strikes, but you don't quit when you get a strike, right? You go back at it and you play again, and eventually you're gonna hit a home run or maybe even a grand slam. You know, and that's what I'm hearing when I hear you, talk about being in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I relate. Your example is very relatable because I too relate a lot to sports because in sports you're constantly taking action and you just
Mm.
keep taking action.
Yes. Yes. But you know what, Sheila? There's so much. I got so many questions. I know Steven will have questions for you as well.
Okay.
But we got to take a break. Let's hang in there. We're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about what empowerment means to you and how you define empowerment. We'll be right back.
All right.
And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my wonderful co-host,
Stephen Frederick is here.
Stephen Frederick, who happens to be my amazing husband and attorney during the day, also a medium at other times. And today we're having a wonderful conversation about mission empowerment. And we have Sheila James, CEO and founder of St. James Media. And Sheila is talking about how you can re-examine, refocus, and rebuild your life so that you can live an empowered and inspired life starting right now, because there's no other time than right now. So, Stephen, I know you have a question, so let's start with you.
Sheila, it's so nice to meet you, and I'm so happy that you're here.
Yeah. Likewise.
So, Sheila, I have, thank you. I have a question, which I know Elix already asked about it, but I think it's really important for people to hear. When you realized at the moment you realized about what legacy you wanted to leave, why did that question even come into your presence? Because so many people, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, that never happens. They never think about it. So what do you give the sort of acknowledgement to even put you in that place to be able to ask that question?
Oh, wow. This one might make me cry, but I'll give you, that was a great question. I'm going to give you the short version. When I was 25, I was hit physically by a car. And broke my leg in 3 places, etc. And it was a moment in time. And to some degree, it kind of looked like I was, lived in Houston, lived in Atlanta, running all around, lived in New York. And I was young and feisty. And when I got hit by that car, when I was in the hospital, I don't know, God spoke to me, and it looked like something like I had this revelation, and it was like I was running without looking. Because I got hit physically. I went up in there, landed behind the car. Thank God I'm alive. But what I started to examine was, God, I'm running without looking. That was what I got from it. And I slowed down. Well, for most people, it wouldn't have been slow down. But for me, I slowed it down and started to look at and examine the things that were unfolding around me in my life. As a matter of fact, that's when the insurance industry showed up. No, it had already showed up, but then I moved from property casualty to life. And then with life and touching people, and then also, the way in which I was raised, my father and my mother, who were not just ministers, but leaders in the community. And I was a leader, and I connected with the transformational company, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm about. The way life occurs for people. Not living your life just the way it is, but what could your life be about? What is it that's not working in your life? What do you need to, or Sheila, what do you need to stop doing today and start doing tomorrow? And so I started to find myself engaged in that. Now, I went up, down, all around the map. But it was really, that was a big defining moment for me to pay attention to my life and what my life was about. Now, I didn't sound as eloquent as I do right now. That comes with time, right? But I was still like my eyes were open to life. So see, I'm clear it was a miracle that I was still alive. A miracle. There was nothing about that wasn't a miracle. And that I still have my leg, and I'm of sound mind, and that, that's all I can really say about it. And it's interesting.
Sheila, I love the fact that your soul led you to a place that you could just stop for 1 second and get that beautiful aha moment and that beautiful message. And look
Yeah.
what it's done. It's I got goose pimples when you were just talking.
Mm.
And
Wow.
what I heard also is even under those terrible circumstances, right? Not many of us get hit by a car, by the way, and get injured. So that's that in and of itself is a life altering experience. But what I'm walking away in listening to you, Sheila, and this almost answers the question I was going to ask you, is that you found your power. you
Yes.
In the midst of that terrible experience, you found your power, and I can imagine that really then led to you being inspired to helping others find their power.
I couldn't have said it any better. I couldn't have said it better. No, you're right. Thank you, Stephen. And you, I mean, I did. I did. I found my power. I found myself, and then the circumstances just lined up with who I already was or am, and then it just keeps coming out in new iterations.
Okay, so now I definitely want to close with your 90-day mission empowerment program, so people walk away with something that they could do right now to get themselves in that mission empowerment journey. But I also know, Sheila, that you had the unique opportunity to meet Martin Luther King Jr. I also know that you have a podcast committed as actually it's about ending racism. So somehow I'm very curious, how did meeting Martin Luther King Jr. Really inspire you to have such a commitment to end racism right now?
Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna give you the short version. Um, he was my dad's good friend, and he was oftentimes in Gary, Indiana, at our church, in our home, all throughout my life, actually. But another moment in time was when he died.
Mm,
And what, the thing was, let's see, 68. So I think I was 11 years old. And my mother was saying, oh, they called him ML because they were that close. They called him ML. They didn't call him Martin. And I said, Daddy, why is Mama crying like that? And, you remember Dr. King, ML, he was shot and killed. And he was talking about it. It's on TV. And my sister Deborah and my brother Wendell were all watching. And my mother's like sobbing. I had never seen my mother cry, ever, ever. And so I was kind of stunned by that. And in that moment, um, it's like I can see us watching TV. In that moment, I became a part of what was happening. It changed me.
mm,
As I began to listen. My father was a prolific preacher too. His voice was very familiar, similar to his. So I always listened to my dad, but now I listened in a that's where the coach listener came from, by the way. I began to listen differently. Well, why are they doing this? Well, what is that? Why does a man walk around saying, I am a man? I'm 11 years old, so I'm starting to. This is what I tell people. It rained on me. It's like I got into it, and it changed me. And truthfully, all my actions, somewhere inside of that, was right there. It was deep down in my soul and in my spirit. And I
mm.
could also hear something possible and available. So, to correct something, my new podcast will be more ending racism. My current podcast, She Will Speak, is being revamped. Let's just say that right now. And you'll see the difference on my website. But I'm also designed a course. ending racism that will be started January 2023. Because I could then see in all my studies, Felix and Stephen, everything that my life's been about and been for. By the way, I tried to hide from this. I didn't want to do it. And sometimes I wake up and I still don't want to do it, but I do it anyway.
Yes.
But it just it's the one conversation that takes me over. And what I can see that I think I am of the opinion, and this is Sheila's opinion, that what's mostly missing, particularly in America, is that we never acknowledge, atoned for, and dealt with slavery and its impact, particularly in the South. It's like you were free and then you got you got a mule, some corn, and all right, well, good luck. And
Or consider yourself lucky, right?
whatever,
Yeah.
Dr. King says, pull yourself, they were saying you guys need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but they never gave us the boots. So in the work I'm engaged in now, and the work of transformation helped me put it together. It's not like I was just sitting down and it's been like a culmination of that moment to now. And what I also see is that, particularly in the South, if you look at the southern states, it's real stuck. It's real old. If you drive and travel through it, you'll just see still so much remnants of the past. And so, a lot of, to me, in my opinion and my view, and I can verify a lot of what I'm saying, is that it's connected to the way we all live our lives. The judicial system doesn't work, but it was born inside of the context of freeing black people in America. Education system does not work, at least not for us. The housing, for God's sake, we're still talking about voting. We were talking about voting when I was 3, by the time I could understand English. So we are at a precipice where Dr. King used to say we're going to live together as brothers or die together as fools. And with everybody having a gun now, it looks like it's going that way. When you got 5 and 6-year-olds now killing people, they don't know what they're doing. So, I can go, let me tell you, I can get you mesmerized about this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
I said, this is what, I hope I'm answering your questions.
You,
This is what really had me say, well, maybe that's why God, had you stop running without looking.
yeah. And you know what, Sheila, this is an important conversation, and we are at a critical time in our country, and we have to claim our seat at the table. And I
Yeah.
really commend you for taking that stand, in spite of pretty difficult circumstances. Again, you know, the circumstances shouldn't ever define what we do and who we are, and you clearly are demonstrating that. Sheila, we do need to take a break, so hang
Okay.
there. And when we come back, we're going to talk about mission empowerment. We'll be right back.
Perfect. All right.
welcome everyone. This is Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex. With me, my wonderful co-host,
Steven is here.
Steven is here, and today we are having a wonderful conversation. My guest is Sheila James, who is the CEO and founder of St. James Media, and we are talking about mission empowerment. And Sheila, I know you have a 90-day goal setting program called Mission Empowerment. It's a conversation that really empowers, I guess, people to get in action with their goals. So, tell me about the program, and what is one or two things that our listeners could do right now that could get them in action as it relates to something that they wish to accomplish?
Okay, perfect. Well, here's the conversation. Mission empowerment. You know, there are a few questions. A couple of them are you experiencing a loss of freedom, power, joy, and inspiration in the areas of your life that are important to you, or just daily living? Then I said this earlier. What do you need to end in your life today and start tomorrow? Are you tired of setting those goals and resolutions? They don't happen. Or some of us have given up on our dreams and goals completely, or just overwhelmed or stopped by some circumstance that keeps us from moving ahead. Are you working hard and not achieving optimal results? So, mission empowerment supports you in really creating, inspiring, clear, and concise goals for the next 90 days.
Mm.
Design, start to really look at a mission statement. You create and craft your own mission statement and confront, like really tell the truth about what is not working in your life. I just recently, this is also available, the downloadable version and a fillable workbook on my website. You can get to it, or card truck. Let me just say this. You know, I was working with someone, and he started to discover so much unworkability in their life and their business. And as they shared it with me, it was shocking. Because if you're around these people, some of them, you would never think that. You would think they had it all together. But of course, you and I both know that we never have it all together. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you really start to look at the areas of your life that are working, not working, your personal life, business life, your health. I had to deal with spiritual relationships when I started really going bigger with what I was up to. Wasn't working with my health. And I started back seeing my chiropractor. As a matter of fact, I had a doctor's appointment today. I took on losing weight. I've lost over 20 pounds. I've got more to go. But listen,
Awesome. Good for
I
you.
do, yes, I do the 90 days, almost every 90 days myself, because I got to look at what I need to start doing today that might be the beginning of dramatically shifting my life and supporting what I really want in life. You know, people want happiness, joy, fulfillment, love, excitement, adventure. And so, you know, you stop for a minute. The one thing, here's one of the big things, just look at, reflect. What is it in your life that you really want? Look, we've all been distracted by the pandemic, and, you know, now there's something else, and just all, you know, insurrection at the Capitol. I mean, it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
Yes.
Impact, we've got housing now, people being squeezed out of their homes. You know, who can do three, six, $700 more a month on your mortgage or rent in a 30-day notice? You know, so there are things that we really want in our family, our relationships, work, pleasure, and again, I always say our legacy. So you look at what you're up to, and one of the big things that we cover in Mission Empowerment, Coach Elitz and Stephen, is forgiveness. Are you ready, willing, and committed to moving forward now? You would be surprised how stuck and stopped we all get inside of forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
healing, and
And I would say, Sheila, for ourselves and for others.
Absolutely. So, and that's exactly what the way we talk about. And we talk about living a contented life. In this book, I also have really great a pledge of inspiration is very powerful. You write a headliner breakthrough story about you. You begin to stand in the 90 days have happened. Now, what is the extra read all about it? Cover of the newspaper. What happened as a result? You're taking this on. And you create it now as if it's happened. And then you live into it. You follow what I'm saying? You look at your
Uh,
actions.
Absolutely, absolutely. Stephen, you have any last parting questions for Sheila?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. I think that we haven't even scratched the surface with Miss Sheila here and everything that you've accomplished. And when I listen to you, Sheila, as an attorney, as a medium, I connect to the person's energy. And I got to tell you, there's no doubt in my mind that when you were coming onto this earth with the cluster of souls you were with, that you were actually plucked from that cluster for a second and said, you know something, this one's going to be special. This one's going to be the one that helps when the world is going backwards, to be able to stop that and to raise the energy of the world. That's what I get. That's what I feel. And again, I think we're just hitting the surface. And the surface is amazing, Sheila. But I can just only imagine the rest of this, the rest of your life.
Thank you so
So,
much.
and what that means, Sheila, is that means that we are officially offering you an open invite to come back so that we can talk some more. But in the interim, I please, if people wanna hear from you, if people want to know more about you and your programs and what you're up to, your books, your podcast, how can they find you?
All right. First of all, thank you, Stephen. Made me cry. Thank you, Coach Ellis, for having me. I'm a yes to coming back at any time. I love you both, and
Yeah.
congratulations on being married and your relationship and what you're building together here in your platform on this radio show. And how you can reach me is the best way is my website, because you can also email me
Okay.
www.saint, and you spell it out, SAINT, jamesmedia.com. Saint James Media.com. And in terms of mission empowerment and my 2022, the next 5 years, on my website, they're downloadable, fillable, and mission empowerment has an audio, and 2022, the next 5 years, has video. And they're best investment you can make in your life today.
I would I would not disagree. I would not disagree with you. I think listening to you is been an incredible investment for all of us. And this has been a fascinating conversation, Sheila. And I'm so glad that Kathy Clabby, really made the introduction
Yeah.
of you to our show. And I'm telling you, you are welcome back. I'm offering you an open invite, and so we'll reach out again. And thank you so much. We've reached the top of the hour, so we have to end the show. But thank you so
Yeah.
much for giving your time, your attention, so very generously with us today.
Thanks, Sheila.
You, thank you. God bless you. Thanks for having me. God bless Kathy Clabby. Love you.
Thank you. Bye bye. And with that said, Stephen, I mean, what an amazing show, wasn't it?
Well, what a force she is. Just
She
even
is.
even just tackling her energy. That is one forceful individual. So it's amazing.
A force to be reckoned with. And
Yeah.
again, as I'm listening to Sheila, I just validated what I've been saying to myself over the last several, months. We have to show up. We have to make our voice known, even when the circumstances are not ideal. And she validated that for me. So,
Right. Yeah, I love when she said, when she was asking herself questions, and what does she need to do differently today? What does she need to do differently tomorrow? It's just such great thought-provoking questions.
Absolutely. So, Stephen, where can people find you?
Cape Cod. Stephen the Medium. You can you plug that in anywhere, and I will pop up somehow, some way.
Somehow he'll pop up. And if you plug in
Stephen
Coach
with the
Helix,
V, by the way.
yes, Stephen the Medium with the V. And if you plug, what is it that you just said? What expression was that?
That's mine. That's mine. It's mine. I said,
Well,
if you
do the
in.
same with Coach Elix, and I'll just pop up somewhere. So
Yes.
it's great. Thank you guys for listening to us today, and we'll be back next week. Have an amazing weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Mark Clark.
Thank you, Mark Clark.